Oh, we're
good.
good. All right. Well, me and Isa were just talking yesterday. We are really looking forward to this because in many ways, we've seen both sides of like we were the consumer for you for so long, all throughout high school, and now we're in a position where we could ask you a bunch of questions about like the whole journey. And in a lot of ways, we can relate to a lot of the
Yeah.
things that you're
No,
going through now. Yeah, what are you gonna say?
yeah, no, I was gonna say super excited. There's actually a funny story on how I first kind of was introduced to like what Sloche was, like what or like of the page, the Instagram page Sloche. My one of my like best friends, Yogi, he played basketball at Niles North, and just like one day he like texted me, he's like, "Dude, I made it on Sloche," and I was like, "What's Sloche?" And then he sends me the Instagram. This is like sophomore year of high school, and he sends me the Instagram. I'm like, "Oh, this is kind of cool," and ever since then I've been following it, and it's kind of cool to finally like now be in this position where we can actually talk to you and interview you and kind of just like have a good conversation about like how all this started, and for our viewers also have more like inspiration on someone who might be in a similar state.
Sure, yeah.
So yeah,
That's definitely I mean, I
Yeah.
remember Yogi. Was that Yogi Olive? Is that how you say his last name? Yeah,
yeah,
that boy was nice.
yeah,
That's a good introduction to the page. So it's rare when you hear a player inviting people to see or inviting their friends to check out a page. It's mainly usually just you see a player on the page. So it's cool that he was a fan himself instead of just being filmed and didn't really care.
yeah,
I mean, honestly, I feel like that was everybody. Like I was in high school with too, because like if you made it, like I mean, I'm not just saying this because you're like if you made it on Sloche, it was like whoa, like everybody's talking about it the next day, which is so funny because like you played such a role in our high school experience in a lot of ways, and for so many people, because like I mean, I went to Notre Dame, you went to Niles North, then you scale that over like the majority of high schools. This goes into what we were just talking about of having that mile deep audience. But I mean, you grew this brand, right? And it's like a faceless brand. I mean, yeah, people see you like recording sometimes about it. I know you have like freelancers now, but in the earlier days, I know a lot of the camera work was you. But let's get us a little bit of context of like who you are as an individual, right? Like where'd you go to high school? Give us a little bit about like where you were growing up. Things people might want to know about you as an individual.
Yeah. Okay, let's get into it. Yeah, so my name is Derrick Echols. I'm 23 years old. I look older now that I lost all my hair, but I'm 23 years old. I grew up in Bartlett, Illinois. Most people don't know what that is, so I usually say I'm from around the Elgin, St. Charles area, and I went to South Elgin. And I used to play basketball. I played for the Illinois Wolves and all those guys up until I was 15. I just fell out of love with playing basketball, but I still loved it. Which I mean, I thought I was cheating it because I convinced myself that you couldn't love something unless you did it. But you can love a sport and not necessarily play it. So I still loved basketball and wanted to stay close to it. And I was like, you know what? These guys at my local high school that I grew up playing with, the Drake Montgomerys, the Vince Miskeviches, which you guys may not know, but I knew around our area, they're not really getting covered via social media or via film. Like Ball's Life was in the city, all those guys. So I was like, you know what? Let me just pick up a camera and film them. I had a Beat Nikon. I was, 17 years old. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna do what I can. So I filmed those guys a little bit, and then I started working as a Jewel Osco guy, and just started saving up money for a bigger, better camera, better laptop, all that stuff. The basic traditional grind of like trying to get after it in high school. And I saved up and was able to I was blessed with an opportunity to film Jalen Green and them in Las Vegas through Team Rose, who is Derrick Rose's AAU team. They reached out to me and said, "Hey, I have an opportunity for you. We know you're new in the business, but we love what you're doing." So from there in 2018, August 2018, that moment of filming Jalen Green and Team Rose and all those guys in Vegas just sparked a whole new initiative for me. I was able to go self-employed from then on, all the way throughout college and all that, just filming Illinois high school sports, Illinois college sports here and there. Professional natives like Frank Kaminsky, Haley Gorecki, who's in the WNBA now. All these people coming back to Illinois. I was blessed with opportunities to film those people. And from there, it just literally just took off. So there was no business model. I wasn't, savvy. I literally just rolled with the punches, and God blessed me with just great opportunities. So that's what I like to say. Short, sweet, and simple in that regard.
And then
I think to add to that, we also need to hear where the name Sloche comes from.
Yes. Okay.
Oh yeah, I'd be curious. I don't know if I
Oh, you
knew
don't
that
know
too.
Austin? Okay, yeah. So
I don't think
it's
so.
I
very
definitely don't know.
anticlimactic, but some people whatever. It's Sloche. So my last name is Derrick Echols, Echols. It's my last name backwards with the CNH flipped. That is literally it. Nothing like literally nothing crazy. And
That
I didn't even come up with
that is so that's so like high school naming something.
it, bro.
Like a high school kid naming something.
Yeah, like initially
That's
at that time there was like I don't know if you guys are familiar with hoop diamonds. It was like always hoop something, hoop diamonds, hoop whatever. So I was like, okay, I might go hoop echo because my last name is Echols, but I was like, you know what, that just sounds so corny. Let's just do something. My mom was like, just flip your name, just flip your name backwards. And I was like, you know what, you might have just did something. So I just rolled with that, and now you're not subject to one sport, So I like that dynamic for sure.
Yeah, I worked at Mariano's in high school, so I definitely relate on the whole grocery store
Yes.
grind.
Yes.
But was your mom very supportive of your whole journey then?
Yeah, yeah. Like, you know what it was? So like I really thought because I was a sophomore in high school playing basketball and I was getting like D3 interest. And like realistically, now that I look at the whole landscape of Illinois, like I was not gonna go past D3. Like that was my ceiling. So I thought I was gonna go to school, get a little bit of scholarship off of that, and then, I just fell out of love with it. So I sort of withheld that from my parents a little bit. So what I'm trying to get at is that they were more so disappointed that I didn't, tell them that I wanted to go a different route. So once I got went to a different route or went on a different route and gave up basketball and all that, they were more than supportive. But they made sure that nothing was just, trying to see if the spaghetti will stick on the wall. You know what I mean? Like just do something that makes sense, that's logical, and that you love to do. But we're not just gonna, do anything just to say we're doing something. You know what I mean? So I really appreciate that. My parents definitely, beat that into me. They're hard workers, their whole lives. So we definitely take everything that we do seriously for sure.
For sure. Was there when you were posting those first videos, like looking back now, do you look back on them and you're like, damn, like that was terrible
Yeah.
quality, or like the color grading was terrible, and like or like do you like really analyze them now and be like, damn man, like what was I
Yeah,
doing?
bro. Like, okay, back then, color grading wasn't even a thing for like if you were doing it like the way I was doing it, wasn't even a thing, bro. Like, I didn't even know what color grading was till like the pandemic type stuff. So I was hot garbage. I don't know if I told this before, but and you can literally, if you go back and scroll through the 3,000 posts that we've made, if you go to the first post ever, it's literally me filming. Okay, I filmed a video, I put it on my laptop, and it's me using my phone to record what I filmed on my laptop, if that makes any sense. So I was using my phone to film a video
Wait,
on
wait,
my
wait,
laptop.
wait. Let me wait. Can I
Do you know what I mean?
using your phone to record a
Oh,
video?
I know what you mean. Just
Yeah.
holding it up like that,
Yeah, like it makes more
huh?
sense if I put it this way. I didn't know how to upload my video from my laptop to my phone because I had a Chromebook, so there's no AirDrop, there's none of that. So I was like, I'm filming my laptop. I'm literally down bad, and I was shaking. I was like,
Dude,
"Ugh."
you gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah, bro. Like we had to
Gotta do what
do
Uh,
you gotta do.
anything. So yeah, that just gives a standard of how bad it was in the beginning. But I have it up for a reason. I still have it up for a reason. I don't regret any of those days.
that's so funny.
Mhm.
That's so funny.
Down bad.
Yeah, no, like even for us, if you look back at our first post, there's like at the moment, and this was probably the same for you, right? At the moment when right before we posted, we're like, this is so fire,
Yeah,
bro. Like this is amazing. And then and now we look back now, we're like, bro, what were we
yeah.
doing? Like that was
And I
terrible.
challenge y'all to
Uh,
keep it up.
but I mean,
Don't
that's
ever
just how it
delete it.
goes.
Don't ever delete it, bro.
Oh yeah, no, we're not going
Yeah,
to. I mean, for the same reason as you. I mean, it's probably like if somebody is starting, like they're, I don't know, they're always kind of there's like kind of this conception of I'll start when I know how to do it, but you won't know how to do it until you start.
exactly.
So it's kind of this you just kind of got to jump in the deep end a little bit.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's how it goes. But
That's funny though. Yeah.
that's interesting.
Yeah.
What another thing me and Isa were
Just
just
wanted
talking
to
about.
add. Yeah, no, no, go ahead, Austin. My bad.
No, you got it. You got it. You got it.
Yeah, well, yeah, no, this is just something else I was kind of curious about, kind of more about your background before we get into like the bulk of what we kind of want to talk about was So you went to college in
Yeah.
Mississippi, right? Started Sloche in around 2017, so still like high
Yep.
school, right? Or senior year of
Junior
high
year.
school.
Yeah.
How did that kind of work being in Mississippi trying to run something that's pretty much solely based on Illinois sports? How'd you kind of like be able to still keep an eye on all that? I know a lot of like the Sloche posts right now have like videos of a high school basketball game or whatever. Like how did that kind of work being, I don't know, 300-400 miles
Yeah,
away?
so like what you guys said, like Sloche now is like not me, but before, like just to give context, in high school, like Sloche
Right.
didn't really become a thing until like my senior year of high school. So I only had 1 year to really, give it a go. Like end of my junior year, senior year, whatever. But yeah, it used to be me, and then I'm like, hey, like I don't want this to be like my life to the point that it decides where I go to college because to me it just wasn't at that point yet. So my mom went to Mississippi State, so that's why I went there. But when I went to Mississippi State, that's when Sloche was no longer Derrick Echols. Like I had to change the business model because I wasn't just gonna, let it all go away. We're gonna find a way not to necessarily tread water, but to still succeed. So that's when I started hitting up the people that I networked with in the fields, genuinely networked with. It wasn't like, let's get a business card or something. Like, these are my guys. So, Braden Schmidt, I don't know if you guys are familiar with him, talented guy out of Naperville. And he just worked with Louisville this past year, and now he works for Oregon. He's your guys' age, I think. He was one of the guys I utilized to make sure we have boots on the ground here in Illinois to capture content. So Braden, the Brian Beatties, who's at Purdue, Albert Farah, who's now the head of video for Northwestern's basketball team. So all these people were taking care of business here in Illinois while I was away. I was managing them, and I was loving that whole process. It was to the point that I changed my major from communications to marketing, where I'm learning managing stuff because I learned how to manage throughout my freshman year and throughout COVID. So that's how it was. Like I had to sort of like just deny myself and like get rid of my pride of wanting to be the face of Sloche and realize that if you want this team to, excel, it has to be a team effort and everybody that's a part of it is Sloche now. So that's what really that's what it was.
I know for some people it can be like, oh, like this is like my baby. Like I don't want to give up any. I don't want to let anybody else like. Yeah, it's kind of just natural sometimes. Like if you put in a lot of
Mhm.
effort, it can be a little bit hard to kind of give up. I mean, equity. You all understand what I mean if I say
Yeah.
equity. But like give like maybe the keys to it to somebody else, to, like be able to record and like their content's also going to be a reflection of yours. Was that hard at all?
Yeah, it was like these guys were contractors. They're not full employees, but at the same time, like anybody that's associated with Sloche, I have to know them. Like you know how a recruiter is following a player off the court, seeing who they are. With the draft process right now, they're asking even their third neighbor, "What did you think of Caleb?" Whatever. I had to know these people before I ever did work with them, let alone let them be associated with Sloche in the public eye. So I was like, you know what? I know Braden, I know Albert, I know these guys. I mean, as far as equity, like that part was comfortable for me because I knew these guys personally. I know there's a story about I talked about this a little bit at that sports business conference at Illinois, but the Airbnb, they're like, whenever I interview new candidates, I want them to literally like eat, sleep, and breathe Airbnb. And I'm not saying all that for Sloche, but I want them to always have a positive outlook. It's not crazy transactional. You know what I mean? So I knew these guys.
I saw a reel yesterday about Airbnb, and apparently their CEO would ask. This was just a little extreme. He would ask the people if you had 1 year to live, would you still want to work at
Exactly.
Airbnb? And then if they said no, he just would immediately turn them
Yeah,
off.
like that's the same story that I'm referencing. I just sort of died it down a little bit because I don't want people to think I'm like crazy on that level. But yeah, yeah,
Oh no,
that's how these
no, no.
corporations work.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
yeah, and I think I've heard that since then he's laxed it. If you had 10 years to
hmm
live, would you still want to work at
yeah,
Airbnb?
yeah. He chilled out.
But it's it's I mean that's what you need to do though, especially when you know how much you care. It's can be very hard just statistically to find other people that care that much.
Exactly.
And I mean, yeah, I mean we've kind
Yeah.
of seen it a little bit here too. of like people asking if they could help out, and like we would love to help, but I mean, again, we still want to be able to like vet you as like people before, not because we think you're going to be a bad person, but just like you just never know, and like when you care about it so much, you don't want to ever tarnish
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
But yeah, 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 no, but I mean, from there, so what? You start scaling it. You probably learned a lot of skills when it came to like delegation, right?
Yeah, yeah, bro.
And I mean, that's like a whole different skill set in and of itself. Because I mean, you learn about it in your classes, but it's probably so different in the real world, right?
Hmm. Like a lot of the like I would say,
What were some
oh,
of?
go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I was just gonna ask, what were some of the biggest skills you learned, or maybe some stories you have, experiences where maybe you went about it the wrong way and you took away a valuable lesson from it.
Yeah, like the hardest thing to do. Like I know I went through managerial courses, but even before then, I was like, man, like the hardest thing to do is to put yourself in somebody else's context and see where they're coming from. Because the reality of it is the contractors that we have are younger for the most part. So they're in high school. This is their first time, living. So like they're still learning as things are going on too. You can't expect anybody to, first off, like you said, that whole concept of care about something the way you care about something. I want XYZ quality, but some people just don't have the means to even do that. So those things come into consideration. But also, am I putting too much on this person's plate? They're in high school. Like for me, like I was a homebody, so my love interest, all that was literally Sloche stuff. I mean, I did all my other stuff, whatever, but I would do Sloche over anything. These people did not sign up for that. They signed up because they love creating. They definitely they I guess they compartmentalize, if I'm saying that the right way, compartmentalize their life a certain way. And this hobby is literally a hobby. It's not their life like it was for you, Derek. Understand that there's nothing wrong with that. So delegating in that regard was definitely harder for me than I thought it would be. And that's why you have to have that communication factor of, okay, I care about you outside of Sloche. Like these are my guys. I pray for these guys regularly. I want to know them on a deeper level. So understanding their context and where they're coming from, I truly care about the workload that I try to put on them. And if they want more, like I'm more, open to that as well, as long as we have that open communication for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Was there so obviously with the delegation and like um with the company or company business, whatever we want to call it, growing, was there times where you kind of had to add on people that maybe you weren't as close with also then as it started to grow
Yeah,
more?
yeah. Like I love technology. Like I used to be one of those lame dudes. Like just to give context, in high school freshman year, if I said, hey, like if I was talking to a girl or something, like man, we should hang out, but I'm like never hanging out with them ever. You know what I mean? Type of stuff. Like I can text you all day and never meet you in person. I feel like you're one of my good friends. That's how it was with some of these guys. Like I was just talking to one of our guys, Franco, Carter Sullivan, who goes by Sully on Instagram and all this stuff. I had never met them before until literally like probably like the end of last year type stuff or earlier this year, and they've been working with us for 2 years. So the like I mean it might be a product of the pandemic, but yeah, like I've had to hire many people that I had never met before because I trust their art, I trust their creativity, and I trust them to deliver and communicate. So yeah, that happens all the time for sure.
One thing that kind of reminded me of a little bit is you. So I actually a couple days ago, well, me and Isar gave a talk at one point about like why social media like is a tool and like why you should use
Mhm.
it. And I take it you've reaped a lot of the benefits that we talked about in that talk, which is, hey, like when you build a brand, it doesn't even need to be like you don't even need to have that many followers. But when you post stuff of like, hey, this is what I'm interested in, it acts of a beacon of like, this is what I value and these are my interests. So you probably met even outside of the whole business sense, maybe stuff that seems more transactional. You probably met a lot of your like closest friends like through social media,
Yeah.
right? Just of it acting as like, hey, this is what I'm interested. I love like media. I love basketball. These are my like hobbies and passions. And probably it's attracted a lot of people to you that you otherwise wouldn't have met,
Yeah,
right?
it's like like back in the days, you would go to a camp, like I'm interested in tech, I'm interested in yada yada yada, and then you learn with those people, yada yada yada. Now you can just create online niches and people just attract to it. Now you guys are meeting, you're talking, and then you have a pool of, okay, I've already filtered, like we're interested in sports. We're, oh, look at that, the reaction. But we're interested in sports. We're all a little bit younger, like we're all from Illinois, you know what I mean? Like that's all filtered out now. Okay, out of this pool that is around me now, who am I truly interested in? Who do I connect with on a deeper level? That's completely been the case. So yeah, when I say the Albert guy, like he's my age as well. We grew up doing this together. We met through Sloche, and that's my boy now. You know, we talk on the phone here and there. So yeah, some of my closest friends are through, Sloche, through social media. So yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful when everything comes together. Like a few days ago, we actually had a kid from the University of Miami message us, and it was like, "Hey, like I love what you guys are doing. Like you guys should come to Miami to like talk to some of like our kids that are doing some awesome stuff." And then, I mean, I don't have the money, frankly, to just fly to Miami, but I was like, "Hey, like I'd love to hop on a call, right?" And we ended up hopping on a call, talked for an hour. Like, awesome dude. He's walking on the U of Miami football team, which is like sick, right? And he has a startup that's generating a good amount of money too. And it's just like that I would not have met him if it wasn't for us like building a beacon of our own, which is always just it's just great for like human connection, you know. And that's what we've come to love.
Mhm.
But on that note, like you can only really meet those people if your image online is you, you know? And a lot of people, like not no disrespect to anybody, but it's just very easy to get it confused of like if I want to grow my brand, if I want to gain more followers, I have to act a different way. But that really isn't the case. It may take longer if you are yourself, but that's how it will do all like the right things for you in the long run. So how important has you being you been in your journey? Because I mean, we were talking about it originally. Like that's probably a big reason why your consumers, the people that actually watch your stuff, feel such a connection to you.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. Yeah, it's been essential. Like, if you go on my page right now, the first thing it says is "It's all God." I'm never gonna take that away. I know some people have tried to, entertain acquiring Sloche and saying like, there's always that thought of, are you gonna try to compromise, or am I gonna have to compromise who I am? So, like what you said, and I've said this at that conference too. It's like you keep a fish the way you caught him. So, like if you caught a fish by acting fake, by acting like somebody else, by acting like the big companies that you see is not you. First off, you're eliminating your value proposition right then and there. Like it's not you at all. So you don't set apart from anybody at all. But second off is like, why would you ever want to do that in the first place? Because now, like imagine you're trying to sing and you're trying to sing like somebody else, your throat starts to hurt after a while. Like if you keep doing stuff trying to attract other people by acting like somebody else, or doing business at a different note than what you're actually supposed to be doing it at, you're gonna start straining. You're gonna start resenting every starting. And just in general, you're probably gonna even start resenting your users, or at least in this situation, your consumers, because they're attracted to something that you never were, and you start backtracking. You're like, oh, it's the Hannah Montana effect. So yeah, dang. I mean, that's perfect. I'm acting like I had that ready. That was a perfect example. But yeah, yeah, that's the best way I can put it for sure.
Wait, what's the I actually never really watched Hannah
Ah,
Montana.
I
What
see. I
is it?
see. No, yeah. Hannah Montana.
I was more of like a lab rats kid,
I
not gonna
see.
lie.
No, yeah, yeah. You gotta do what you gotta do, bro. Yeah. Hannah Montana had the wig, so like she was famous for like acting like a different character. She had a different image. So Miley Cyrus on Hannah Montana had the blonde wig, and then when she'll get home, she'll take the wig off, and she was just this whatever her name actually was, Miley Cyrus in the show probably, or whatever. But yeah, like she just acted like somebody else, and she got tired of it. But if you see the trend in general, like
And
these Disney, outside of the actual shows, these actors start spiraling out because they're literally having to force themselves into a Y7 type lifestyle. You know what I mean? Like that PG lifestyle, and they never signed up for that. They're 15, 16 years old, and they're trying to attract the attention of 11-year-olds. So, yeah, I have to, my product has to grow with me. But we can talk about that a little bit later for sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
wait, so you
because
just
you'll never
came up
get
with the
tired of
Hannah?
being yourself.
Yeah.
So
You never get tired of that. What were you saying, Austin?
You just came up with a Hannah Montana effect off the
Yeah, just
dome.
sort of off the dome. I can't lie. Like I might have just
I
cooked,
mean,
but I'm sure somebody else has said that like several times. I just heard it.
That was good. That was good. I mean, it was a perfect example.
Yeah,
So
Disney baby.
yeah. Well, I mean, we could go a little bit more down that right now, because I know you said we could talk about it later. But I mean, I think it is a very interesting thing in content creation, because it is like the big dilemma, right? Because on one hand, you know what'll get views, and you know what'll get likes, you know what'll get comments, you know what'll get interaction, and a lot of time there is
Mm-hmm.
disalignment with you, and like you being you, like in somewhere in that. So you could kind of go on the, you could, if you look and you're like, okay, I want to get a lot of views on this video, you would know what to do, right? But usually that's not you being you. Has there ever been, actually, I mean, well, do you have any thoughts on that first?
Yeah, like I was gonna say, like for me, the most interesting dynamic is fan engagement, as far as like how do you engage with your audience, and like my whole thing, at least I've tried to accomplish on our page, is that I want Sloche to feel like the group chat, you know what I mean, like with the boys, or with trying to talk with the girls too. Like I wanted to feel like the group chat. Hence the reason why you see the memes at the end of the post. You see like the crying emoji or whatever it is. Like at least that was how my group chats were. And at least we're not going like the group chat, but we're trying to emulate that with our posts. You know what I mean, type stuff. So like I really
Yeah,
I've learned, especially now that I've graduated. You're sort of like, Sloche is on the side. I work with, a marketing group now. I do the ESPN stuff. My vocabulary is a little bit different. I'm using dashes and semicolons. I'm like, I can't do this with
yeah.
Sloche.
And
Yeah, like
compartmentalize.
your sentences, you know how the older people use dot 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 on some sentences, like 300 dots. Like I'm over here, my texting habits are changing, all that stuff. And for me, I don't want, like, that's natural. I'm not one of these Forever 21 people, so I want to grow with my age. But at the same time, Sloche has thrived off of feeling like a high school group chat. So for me, I have to say, okay, Derek, you're changing a little bit. You naturally don't talk the same way as you used to. You're not fighting to be what you once were. You're still trying to be something new, but at the same time, it's probably due to introduce a high schooler, or maybe a new high schooler, or a recent high school grad or something, that can be a social media manager and insert their voice and stay up with the current trends and stuff. But as long as they still understand the voice of Sloche. So that's something I've actually just been contemplating lately, because I'm the only one that has a login for all of our social media platforms. And it's something that I've been considering lately is, okay, is it time to give up the reins? And it's not like egregious right now. I'm still able to talk, relatively like everybody else, and I'm still childish at the end of the day. But yeah, it's just something I'm considering. So I just wanted to bring that up now that we're on that topic. It's something that a lot of people don't talk about at all, for social media at least.
That's so
Hmm.
interesting. Because I mean, yeah,
yeah.
that's so interesting. But also, I feel like we are a lot of like, I mean, so the kids that like were really following you in high school, like us, are also growing up with you at the same
Yeah.
time. So you're getting an influx of new high school kids. But also, I mean, every time I see like one of your posts, like, yeah, I mean, you're one of like like up there with like ESPN and whatever. That like whatever I see, like I look through at the same
Mm,
time. So while like your top of the funnel is a lot of high school kids, I feel like your retention is very
mm,
high for a lot of kids that are growing up too.
yeah.
That is an interesting
It
dilemma, though.
is.
Isar, did you have something?
No, it was kind
Yeah.
of similar. Not anything crazy.
So, what do
I
you
feel like
think
one
would
of the
be
big
the?
things that
No, what's
yeah,
up?
sorry.
You got it.
That mine was like kind of connected, but like, I feel like one of the big things that is connects to like the retention rate and like a lot of the audience coming from high school and then growing up is like college sports maybe, or something also that is something that could be interesting for Sloche to
Yeah.
also add in. Um, because I know right now you focus more on high school sports, and that's kind of how you get a lot of like, because no one else really does high school sports, right? It's not like college sports is everywhere, but that's kind of like your niche, right? So that's just something else to think
Yeah,
about.
yeah, yeah. I've definitely considered the college landscape, especially now that I have more connections in that landscape. Like, I was just at the Illinois Northwestern basketball game for those stuff, and the harsh reality. at least this is the case for me. It might not be the case for other people that have friends in high places, but like, or just, work the system well. But it's just hard to monetize college content with all the copyright. You can't post it on YouTube, like at least the full
All
highlights.
right.
Like for me, we're not at the point where we can just open a department and not expect anything off of it. There's a lot of companies that do that just for credibility reasons. It builds credibility, and they can, afford to not make any money off of that, and then just mainly invest into brand notability and all that stuff. We're just not there yet. But there's got to be an angle, and there soon is going to be, now that there's this reality that NCAA might literally abolish, and the schools have the reins, full reins. So you never know. I just want to be front row. I want to be a first mover. I don't want to be looking at what somebody else might do, because you're just a sitting duck at that point. So yeah, I've definitely considered.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we talked about it at the conference, and I figure I'd bring up the question again. Is like you are a perfect example of like starting off in like a pond, expanding out to a lake, and then we were talking about what's that? Is that what is that next step? If it isn't college sports, and I know you like kind of touched on it here, is there any other ideas of what it might be? Maybe it's different sports, maybe it's different levels. I mean, we just touched on different levels of sports, but where does your head go in that department?
Yeah, for me, and I know like the obvious answer is, okay, if you're not going to move vertically, are you going to move horizontally? Are we going to introduce lacrosse at the same level? Are we going to do soccer at the same level? What is it going to be? For me, there's another realm of media that I still haven't tapped into yet, and that's broadcasting. That's TV. And that's, the Comcast Sports Network type stuff, all that stuff. I really want to get into broadcasting a little bit. And it's helped a lot that I'm working at ESPN, and this is not a competition type deal. I signed a non-compete type, whatever. So like, it's not like that, but it is on a smaller scale. Like, you gotta be careful, but it is on a smaller scale, like a broadcast type deal of, I want to be able to get a team out there for Mount Carmel versus Loyola Academy and attract people to a YouTube live stream or something. If you guys want a great, beautiful reference of that, it's Clutch Sports. They do a great job in the middle. Like, they're in they're more towards you guys. Yeah, they're Central Illinois, and they do a great job. And I want to introduce that with Sloche. And there's this like element of, okay, Barstool Sports does that too. And they're literally barstooling their broadcast with the funky stuff, with whatever is his name, Big Cat, or what's his name? You know what I mean? Yeah, there's a Barstool guy that is.
I know who you're
Yeah,
talking
yeah,
about, but I
yeah.
don't know
Like,
what
they
his
introduce
actual
their
name is.
people, and they're the announcers, and whatever. For Sloche, I want to be a little bit, I want to be credible with it, but also still have fun, and that's a hard dynamic to achieve with the high school audience, because it can sort of get a little bit too petty. So it's some I'm very interested in, and I'm doing a lot of research in. I'm literally getting hands-on research right now at ESPN.
Yeah, your current job probably helps so much with giving you like a wild, like a more like full view perspective of the whole landscape,
Yeah,
right?
it's something I was not expecting. Like, when you because my initial perspective on, or my initial thoughts on Paragon was that I was going to be like putting on events in general, like, and doing some social media stuff here and there. I didn't even know that Sports Center or ESPN outsourced them to do their Sports Center next social medias until like literally probably a month before. So when I got there, I was like, dang, this is way more in depth and way more in tune with what I want to do than I thought it was going to be at all. So now I'm literally working broadcast. Like, yes, I'm doing social media posts and stuff, but I'm literally helping up setting up I'm helping setting up cameras. I'm doing some of the just live stream stuff in general. So I'm seeing the back end of a beautiful product. I'm like, dang, this is something that Illinois wants, and I'm seeing the same dynamic of back in 2017. I'm looking at Balls Life doing this stuff in Chicago, of filming the guys and yada yada yada. Now I'm in this position where I'm like, ESPN is on a national scale, but not a lot of people are doing this where we're at specifically. So it's like, there's an opportunity there. And there are some people like WGN and all them, but yeah, just something I've been thinking about. Not to ramble too much.
It's awesome to see the slow like progression up the ladder too, because I mean, like this was just like a side hustle, or not necessarily side hustle, but side
Oh
hobby,
yeah,
side
of course,
project,
yeah.
side passion, and like to be able to see like, were you ever, did you ever want to do anything different, or was it because I mean, I don't know how your ever conversations with your parents were, but like I don't know, like for me at least, maybe like with my parents, like I'm majoring in finance and computer science, like as a
Mm-hmm.
minor, because like this is like the stuff I
Yeah.
love doing, and I would imagine, I think if I were to hypothesize, I think I'll end up in some like marketing role, like out of
Mm-hmm.
college, but a lot of the time they're like, oh, like it's awesome that you're doing this, but like, is it actually going to turn into a
Mm-hmm.
career? Like that's a different
Yeah.
question. When did you start to realize that like, hey, like I could actually like do this for a
Yeah.
living, and like this is actually like a serious career
Yeah,
path?
like earlier when I said so I worked at Jewel Osco from the top of 2018 to August 2018 when I got the opportunity with Team Rose to travel with them to Vegas. I wasn't one of those big like I don't want to say big shots, but I wasn't one of those guys that like lacked awareness. Like you get a trip to Vegas, but that doesn't mean you quit that job that you have. I didn't quit it for that reason. Like my managers and them would not let me go on a vacation like this for that long. Like they weren't gonna allow me to. And one of the managers was a family friend, and she was like, "Just go. Like don't let this hold you back." So I went on that trip. But what I'm trying to say is, even then, I'm like, this is not gonna do it at all. Like, I wasn't even monetized on YouTube at that point. So I didn't get monetized on YouTube until literally the new year of 2019. So January 1st, 2019. That night, I got monetized on YouTube. So from there, I'm like, okay, we're still not where we want to be. And I'm like pushing, and the time that I realized I can do this was that summer 2019. I was making good money, like just videos were blowing up. Illinois was so supportive. The players started engaging more. It's like the only source, like one of probably three sources that are really pushing stuff out on YouTube. So there was really no pull, wasn't saturated. So I was getting good money off of that. I was like, I'm self-employed right now. I'm doing what I can do, and if I can trickle this into Mississippi, so be it. So yeah, that was the moment.
Amen, man. And I think, I mean, I want to have Esau like throw in a story here because I think you might be able to relate to it. A big thing that probably like kept you going is this whole idea of, I'm not doing this with an end goal in mind. I'm kind of just doing it. I'm enjoying it, and I'm going from there. But you want to tell them the story? I think he'll get a kick out of it when you're with your Procter and Gamble internship.
Oh, the infinite game thing, or
Yeah, 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 yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Because I feel like
yeah. I
that
mean,
encapsulates a lot of what we're talking about.
yeah. I mean, um, this was like the summer, not summer. This is like right before this school year, and I was interviewing for like an internship final round in Cincinnati. And I like called Austin because I was like preparing for it the night before, and I called Austin. I was like, Austin says this like one line, and I was like, if I say this, like I feel like this will get me in the bag. I ended up getting an internship, so I don't know if that was the reason, but maybe.
Yeah,
But it was me basically talking about why I was like a part of the podcast, or like why I was a part of some of the things in general that I do, and it was talking about how you're you're in it for an infinite game and not a finite game, meaning like you don't really have like a concrete goal at the end. Like in terms of the podcast for us to be, oh, once we reach like 100,000 followers, like that's
Mhm.
all we need. Like we don't really have that. Our goal for it is more like, oh, we want to meet cool people like you, meet cool people just around, hold more events, get better at talking, make more actual relationships with people, and just have something that we can work on outside of class and clubs and whatever else you might do in college. And that was like all of our like reasoning behind it, which there's really no like cap at how many people you can meet, cap at like how much better you can get at talking to people, how much better you can get at media and like social media, video editing. Like you can just keep getting better at that stuff because things keep changing. Um, and I kind of explained that. That was like my little
Yeah,
story that I explained. I think the interviewers probably liked it. They probably ate it up.
yeah.
So
I mean,
it was good. But it's true. It
well,
was true.
what
So it
was
was
the
good.
phrase
yeah.
again? I liked it. The infinite one.
You're in it for an infinite game, not a finite game. So there's really no like concrete ending
Yeah,
to
I
it.
like that because that's so true. That's so
And,
true.
and I got it from I will interject because I don't want to make it sound like I got that. Do you know who Alex from Ozzy is?
Alex from Ozzy.
No, no.
My
Alex.
bad. I was like, wait, what?
No, 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 you're good. You're good. No, Alex
No,
Hormozy.
no,
So
no.
Alex and then Hormo. He's like super big in like the
Mhm.
entrepreneurship space. Um, but I got it from him,
Okay.
so that did not come
Oh
from up
yeah.
here. Um, but do you feel like that's a good way to encapsulate everything that you do as
Yeah,
well?
like one of the reasons why I like doing these podcasts is that I learn more about like generally what I'm, supposed to be even thinking about at this time. Like some business thoughts, but I'm literally the epitome of rolling with the punches. Like now, obviously, it's more business, more planning, more scheduling, more programming, all that stuff. But man, like I just still love it. Like I think of CP3, Chris Paul. He still goes to all these like camps with these high school players because he says he just loves loving it like a child still. I like the fresh love that I had from the beginning still being the main driver now instead of fearfully trying to come up with a different business model or something like the next big thing. I just want to stumble upon it, and that always is the case. So yeah, like I definitely like what you guys said. I love the people I meet through this. I love connecting with the people that follow me. I don't see them as like followers. I just see them literally as like partners in a journey. That's really all it is. So yeah, I 110% agree.
Yeah, and it also probably helps like your job at ESPN or Paragon, um, kind of acting as it helps out your incentive structure because a lot of the decisions you make for Sloche aren't like, oh, this is do or die. Like I need to be making money
Mhm.
off of this. You have that blanket of like, okay, I don't need to be making this. I don't like need to be doing this as a business solely. So your decisions aren't completely
Yeah,
transactional,
that's exactly what it
right?
was.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Does
good.
that kind of
Yeah.
lead you to take more risks also with Sloche? You think since it's not really it's not your fallback on an income, like you have a secondary income also coming
Yeah.
through. So does that let you take
Oh, for
more
sure.
risks?
Yeah, like that is like for me growing up. I've been very fortunate with my parents. Like they're very money conscious, so like we've always had more than enough. So like I've been very spoiled in that regard. So slow shay, I never felt like I was always insecure because I never felt like this was something that I had to do or die get money off of. And the reason why I say I felt insecure is because like on Shark Tank, even like some of them were like, I don't want to do a deal with somebody that I know this is not like their life depends on it because they think that they're gonna never give up on it, never fail, whatever. For me, I felt insecure because I'm like, man, like, do I actually love what I'm doing? Am I actually like squeezing all the juice out of this as if like it could be gone the next day? And for me, it's like you can do that in other fields where it's a true product, like engineering type fields, like you can grind at it. But when you're creating, like that pressure, that stress trickles into everything that you do. You become forceful. You become insecure with your content. Like you're hiding likes. You're forcing people to subscribe. Your call to actions are literally like calling people to do something. Like please do this now, type stuff. You can't grow that way. Like it's a family atmosphere. Everybody that follows you has to feel like they're a part of your journey. It's not like they owe you something. And that's what I've learned. And you can do it the other way, but I feel like the way I've done it is like a beautiful thing in itself. Of there's a lot of freedom, and I wanted to invite that same dynamic and same environment. I mean, when I got this job, like okay, you have a sustainable, very consistent, income. Now you can go back and play around. You're literally your research and development team. Sloche is literally R&D. So just go have fun. You know what I mean? So that's what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like that's also like the key to staying genuine with it and making sure that you can really just do whatever you want to grow Sloche and not worry about like basically what you said, not worry about, oh, you need to get this many subscribers, you need to get this sponsorship, you need to do this, you need to do that, and just keep it to really be you. So
Exactly. Yeah.
I had a thought, and then it just completely went out
Mm,
of my head.
hate to see that.
Ah, oh! I remember. I remembered
hate
it.
when that happens.
Is so has there been times when maybe somebody's been giving you advice? Maybe if maybe they're in like they're a few rungs above you on the ladder in terms of the content game, and maybe they're saying those things like, hey, like if you do X, Y, and Z, like your followers will go up, or like kind of advice like that, where you're listening to them and maybe a lot of the other people around you are doing it, and you're kind of feeling pressure of like, oh, like should I start like packaging this more for clicks, packaging this more for
Mhm.
engagement? And if so, how do you kind of like stay resilient through that and be like, no, I'm not gonna
Yeah.
do it. I'm gonna stay true to
Like
me.
for me, it's like I try to make sure it's not me versus anybody. I know that's not what you're saying either, but everything that anybody tells me in the field, I take it. Like whether I think it's true or not, I'm always just at least gonna
Yeah,
reference it. But as far as like making sure I don't get caught up in that, it's like you know your products. Like at the end of the day, any advice I give you is always skewed and biased based off of what I've experienced with my followers. My followers are completely unique to me, so anything I give you, like it's just probably, honestly more than likely not gonna stick unless it's just general stuff that's like obvious of like post every day. Like that type of stuff is obvious. But like if I say use a crying emoji paired with a fire emoji that you see on 70% of my posts, like that's just not going to work for everybody else. And I was surprised, like on Sports Center Next, I'm on UGC, so I'm posting like user generated content, and I'm like, okay, if I put a crying emoji and a fire emoji with this, like this gonna pop off. Like nobody's done this here, so I'm gonna be the one that does it. I'm gonna make content a little more playful. Wasn't sticking. And the thing that I realized that Sports Center is like they try to go with evergreen content, and their content speaks for itself. It doesn't necessarily need a supplemental like hard hitting caption. It helps, but that's not what makes things blow up. And also it makes me think maybe my captions don't really have that much of an effect on engagement. So I started changing stuff in that regard. So yeah, I know I sort of ventured off. That wasn't necessarily what like what do you do with other people's advice, but yeah, just in the long run, like I just sort of store it and reference it, but I go with what works for my company for sure.
for sure. One thing I am kind of curious is like I saw a post a couple weeks ago, and my bad if it was just like a typo. But one of my friends before like that's like been growing his following a pretty good amount is like, oh, like if you like spell things wrong or maybe add in like a extra number or something like that, a lot like everybody comments
Yeah.
about it, which like really helps your engagement. I think I saw like one of your posts a couple weeks ago, and like I don't know if it was a baseball team's record, I think,
Yes,
and
Lake Park.
it
Lake
was
Park.
was that a typo or
Yeah.
were they like
Oh yeah, like I don't go into any of this saying like, bro,
yeah.
let me throw on an extra zero. Let's see. No, like I don't.
No, I think
No, you're
I
gonna.
think I didn't know.
So
I
yeah, to
just
give
wanted
context for people that don't know,
to,
like
but
we do baseball or we're posting baseball rankings, and we have a record for each team on there. And it's early in the season, so records should not, total up to more than 10 games total at that time at least. So a lot of the records you saw was 6-10, the 8-2s, whatever. Then you see little old Lake Park at number 10, and they were 33-6. And then people were commenting like, "Dang, how did Lake Park play so many games in like 2 weeks?" Like people were genuinely asking, and most of them were like cooking me, like they're like, whatever. But for me, it's like,
yeah,
dang, bro. And I want to change it, but it's already the engagement's organic. If I repost this, whatever. But that's the beauty of having your own company. Yes, I should be way better at that, and I'm trying to be better at quality control. But at the same time, I do not have to look at a president or somebody looking at me like, bro, what are you doing? Take that down now, and we're tallying that against you. Like you can't keep doing this, which is the natural reaction. So at some point, I gotta, I do have to crack down on that, but there's a lot less stress with it for Sloche, and I don't want to bring in this environment of expect
yeah,
less quality, but I do want to have an environment of we can laugh at mistakes.
yeah. I didn't. I
Yeah,
wasn't
it's
trying
like
to
the
call.
group
I wasn't
chat.
trying
It's
to
like
Yeah,
the
call
it's
you
group
a,
out.
no,
chat.
no, no. I didn't get that vibe at all, Austin. But yeah, like you saw, like it's the group chat, bro. Like you deserve to be cooked for making mistakes. It's healthy bullying. That's all it is. Healthy bullying. But nah, yeah, I'm fine. Yeah, I love it though. It is what
Exactly.
it is.
I love that whole thing of it being the group chat. I'm definitely gonna. Well, we'll like definitely take that forward moving with our
Have to.
content because like yeah, you just get such organic,
Yeah.
raw
Mhm.
interaction for it, which is just
Yeah.
like. But yeah, there's one last thing that I want to ask. A question like my roommate requested just before this. So I figured I'd throw it
Mhm.
in here. And is like in that first year, a year and a half, and I mean I feel like we've kind of implicitly touched on it, but I kind of wanted to explicitly ask. is like, did you ever think about quitting? And I think I also asked this during the conference, but did you ever think about quitting? Because I mean, especially when maybe it's not getting as much traction as you want, it's really easy to get in that
Yeah,
headspace.
yeah, yeah, you do. Like, yes, yeah. It's just you have to really just beat the pride out of yourself and beat like the self expectations. Like a lot of times, like for me, it's funky because I was in high school. I started it, so you're walking in the hallways and people are like we saw that post last night type stuff like 28 likes. You know what I mean? Like you quit. I was gonna tell a
Yeah.
story, and this is not to expose anybody because I loved my coaches and all that, or at least I really enjoyed them. And the guy that did this sincerely apologized afterwards. But like when um, I quit basketball during my fresh or the first semester of my junior year, so it was right before the season started because I don't believe in quitting during the season. So I was like, I'm going to quit now. And after that, like the assistant coach looked at me, and was like you're gonna put down a basketball and pick up a camera, like for real, like that's what we're doing. And I had my head coach walk me to class, and he was like, "Ma'am, like." It's not too late to rethink this because what you're doing right now doesn't look like it's adding up. Like it was personal, or at least it felt personal. And like I said, these people have apologized and all that stuff, so it's not me holding a grudge against them. But yeah, like those things make you think like, dang, people think I'm failing. Am I failing? Like, am I a failure right now? And you really it gets in your head. So I really considered quitting around that time, especially when stuff. I was filming like my high school's dodgeball events. Like just trying to do anything just to stay relevant. It was just cringe. So yeah, I definitely consider quitting. Yeah, that's always gonna happen. You gotta push through it.
Yeah. Yeah. The important thing is sticking with your passion. You're more passionate about the camera than holding the
Yeah,
basketball. So that stick with it, and here we
exactly.
are. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah.
good.
Was it just there was no other option in your brain of why you kept going? Because you're like, well, I don't really have anything else to do now, and I love
Mm.
this. Do you think that's all that it really was? Is like you almost like in your head, you didn't even like have any other
Yeah, okay,
option.
I'll say it like this. I remember earlier you asked me, were there any other careers that you wanted to go down? At least you probably like, you might have been saying that as if I was like during when I was playing or after you quit, whatever. But yes, there was. I wanted to be a lawyer. Like I can argue for days, and I was in my law classes, and I was really good. Like I was really strong in that class, and my teacher was like, "Man, like you got to get into this, whatever type of stuff, whatever level you get into." So I initially was going to go to Alabama for law school or probably try to hit up a Georgetown, even though that 83K was smiling in my face. I couldn't do that. No, sir. But yeah, like I initially wanted to do law. So like filming was like, yeah, we're going to do this. But it's like, you don't need to type stuff. But yeah, when you're saying was there any other motivator? For me, like I said, I had to block out pride, but at the same time, it's like you never. For me, I don't with my of faith. I don't know what God is calling me to do right now, so I'm just gonna do whatever is at my disposal right now, and use my discernment to see if like this is something that He's calling me to do, or is this just something just a hobby. So, like I said, with the lack of stress, this was not the plan type stuff. Like it was even better. It was just so light and airy and just held me over till college. At least I thought it was going to. So it was one of those things like it doesn't matter if you quote unquote quit because you can just do whatever. So I was just doing it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like that's kind of everything in high school. Is like you're just kind of doing stuff, and then you wherever it ends up is wherever it ends up.
Isn't it? Yeah,
I mean, beautiful thing about high school
Yeah.
and college too.
yeah,
I mean, there's a little bit more pressure
That's
now, but at the same time,
that's the
you're just
point.
kind of
Just do
ignorant.
whatever, pick and choose, see what you like.
literally.
So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I think how we'll wrap it up though, is so. I mean, we talk a lot about how you got from A to B, right, and how it felt going from A to B as well, and all the little stops along
Mhm.
the way. But do you want to give one little message to somebody that might be hesitant to start because they're like, it just always seems like that, even if it's not a leap of faith, like where you're quitting a job or anything, it could seem a lot like, damn, like if I post this vid, though, like everyone from my high school is gonna see
Mhm.
this, and they're gonna clown me, and then it'll be all this. Um, but at the end of the day, it's really not that bad.
Mhm.
do you have any message to anybody that wants to get started but hesitant too?
Yeah, like I'll say this. I'll give a story. One of my friends in college, like he had heart issues and stuff, and he was, they told him he could pass at any moment. At one point, he was that bad, and he was on the bed, and he was like, "Man, what do I want to do? Like, if I can go out right now, and I thought I was gonna, or if I thought I was gonna die in 5 minutes, what were the things that I would have wanted to do?" And the one thing I'm big on is like, don't regret anything. Like, if God blessed you with something, don't ever look back on it and say I could have done more. Like, exhausted, and that's at the expense of people that you consider to be friends. And this is not one of those cringe messages of block out all your friends if they don't support you. They're hate. No, like people won't support you sometimes. They have to see the product. They're not fake friends. They're just like they're just treading water with you. So do not let anybody's outlook on you, any type of pressure in a social standpoint. Don't let any of those factors, negatively affect your decision. Because like you see now, like in college, like we'll do anything right now because we see how big college is. I mean, especially U of I. Like you realize that what you do does not dramatically affect the person to your left and right. So just do it. So I ask people like, or I try to challenge people that are in high school because it's so everybody's so close to each other. It's just so hard to get out of that mindset of, man, Notre Dame CP isn't my life. Niles North is not my life. South Elgin for me, especially South Elgin cornfields, is like, man, there's a life out there. It doesn't mean to neglect your context that you're in right now, but just venture out and just do something that like is not going to ultimately destroy everything around you. And you just ignore the spotlight effect. Is what I'm trying to get at. If you guys are familiar with that, are you familiar with the spotlight effect? You live life thinking that you're the main character, like the spotlight is on you. Like the thought process of or the whatever, the dynamic of if you go to like a public event, you think that when you're walking like from down an aisle or something, you feel like everybody's looking at your every move, the spotlight effect. For me, I had to push into my head that you are not like, not in a negative sense, but you're not that important type stuff. Just do what you want to do. So, I mean, that might come off a little bit like, pessimistic or whatever, but hopefully that's coming off the right way.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think, yeah, I think the way that I interpret it too is nobody, at least, okay, there's like the positive and negative sides of like the
Mhm.
statement of like nobody
Yeah.
cares that much, where like they don't care as much as you think they do in like a good way, but also they don't care as much as you think they do
Mhm.
in a bad way either. And I mean, I think that goes into like the whole like spotlight effect that you were talking
Yeah.
about. What are you gonna add, Esau?
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of similar. I was just going to kind of say that, like, it's kind of getting over that hump of no one cares. And then once you kind of get over it, you're like, okay, yeah, I'm doing it for myself. Now, if no one cares, no one cares. I just got to do what I got to do to kind of improve on what I want and reach my goals. So I think it's about getting over that first hump of like getting that first video out or whatever it might
Yeah.
be.
Literally what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like you can't care.
And once you post the first, yeah, and once you post the first video, it acts as proof of like, okay, once I've done one, why can't I do
Mm-hmm.
another? Which is like the beautiful thing. Is like literally just the first
Yeah.
rep. And on the note that you were talking about with your friend down at school, like that's powerful to like. I mean, hearing the story, but also, I mean, he was probably one of your close friends. To be able to like sit next to him and be able to have those conversations probably did a lot for your perspective. One thing that I always think about too is, for example, a few nights ago, like I got asked to like, I know this is like an answer to go to, but like so sometimes, I mean, I imagine it's easy for you too, where I'm like, I kind of just want to stay in
Mhm.
and work tonight. Like I want to edit videos. Like that's just kind of what I want to do. But I got invited to like go to like this like semi
Mhm.
thing. And I was like, social anxiety a little bit. But I don't know. I'm not gonna know anyone there and that type of stuff. I'm like, okay, what do I think I would regret more, going or not going? And I'm like, probably
Yeah.
not going. So I always love that as a frame of like regrets are baked into life and they're
Mhm.
inevitable because you never know what the other outcome could have been. So I might as well choose the one that I'd be able to live with.
Why are
Again,
you
that's
trying to
not me
cook
talking.
Austin?
That's
Like
from somebody
you
else.
know he's in the shower, like repeating these lines that he knows he's just gonna throw off.
In the
He's trying to cook,
shower.
bro. And it's okay to accept your flowers, bro. Like you have these lines ready.
I mean, I appreciate it. Oh, it's from Chris Williamson, if you know who that is. He has like the biggest podcast, like one of the biggest podcasts. But I think about it all. I like that's one of those like lines that like I hear it and like that's good. And like whenever I'm hesitant to make a decision, I think about it all the time of like, what do I actually think I would regret less? What it's not like what do I want to do
Yeah.
more? And like that really helps me get over that initial friction of making that
Yeah.
decision.
Like for me, I'm big on the Bible, so Ecclesiastes talks about like enjoy your toil. In other words, enjoy your work, enjoy what you do, like love it, but also know when to have fun, know when to hang around with your family, hang around with your friends, and go have a good time, eat and have fun. That's one thing. That's what went into my college decision. I didn't want Sloche to be the reason why I stay here in Illinois, and it's just my whole life is just working from 19 to whatever. Because one of the biggest things that these entrepreneurs that succeeded tell people is that, hey, if you have an idea, like, spitball, have fun with it now, but don't make yourself like a corporate worker at such a young age because you're going to be devoted. You're missing holidays, all that. Like, I've experienced that working on Christmas and all that stuff. Wait, just wait and have fun. Like, does that mean like it's the formula isn't devote my whole life to this, block everybody else out, and then something's gonna come out of it. No, like you can be doing the wrong thing, and thinking that you're gonna get a reward because you're working hard. Movement does not mean you're moving forward. So just have fun with it. Have fun. Talk to your family and friends, and enjoy the people around you while doing that. You have a whole new business model now that is I don't want to say is it not resistant, but it can live and thrive through you being, I don't know what I'm trying to say in that regard. Like you're able to still socialize, and this product is growing still. If that's what I'm trying to get at. Hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Work
No,
hard,
it
but
does.
make sure you have time to enjoy the
Yeah,
present.
exactly. Yeah. He
Exactly.
started just like summed it all up in one sentence, low key. I ramble way too much. He's like, yeah, what you were trying to say was. I'm like,
Nah.
Hey, side note, this man is like so much smarter than me.
I
Like
can
he
see
can do
that,
that
bro.
like
Like it's
all the
same for
time.
me,
It's
bro.
like
I do way too much sometimes, so someone that can just make it concise.
yeah, I'll do it all the time, bro. Like I'll say something like, and he's like, "Oh, you mean that?"
Yeah.
And I'm like,
I'm like, you didn't have to
"Okay."
say it in 4
I
words,
mean, I don't
bro.
got.
Like you just embarrassed. No plan.
Yeah.
Nah.
Yeah, one last asterisk that I want to add, and then I don't want to yap too much, but like on the whole note of like working all the time, that's something that I could struggle with too, of like just like wanting to put my head down and grind. Um, and like it definitely can get to a negative point. And I heard something the other day that kind of hit me, where it was like this like whole self-improvement movement that you see all on your like I don't know, like Reels page for you, like all that type of stuff of like just working 24/7 is I want to phrase it the right way, but it's this very interesting thing. Like it's a very interesting remedy to not being okay with who you are today, because it's almost like if you work really hard today, you'll be okay with who you are tomorrow, and then just never actually being at peace with who you are today and enjoying the present. And like that's something that like kind of hit me, and like something that I'm gonna try to like implement a lot now as well. Because yeah, I mean, me and you started had a lot of
Yeah.
conversations about it. Of like just like, but we're in college, like chill out sometimes, like go out, like have a good time, meet some cool people.
Yeah.
But
Tomorrow has worries
yeah,
of its own, bro. The Bible's big on that. Tomorrow has worries of its own. Just worry about today. Like just literally control what you can control today. That's why whenever somebody's like, "What are your plans for later on?" and I'm not like, this is not what is getting at of don't have any plans. Like I have plans, but submit them. Like you literally don't know. You don't know how they're gonna pan out. So just take it day by day. And I'm doing what I was just doing again of trying to make an easy sentence. So like too big of a deal. Yeah.
yeah, amen, man, amen. Well, yeah, I mean, at this point, we'll wrap it up with you on the distance, hour 5 minutes. Hopefully, you don't got anything like this didn't like cut in any time
No,
or no,
you're
right?
good. Yeah, like my manager hit me up about this video I was making, so I was gonna do that right after this. But you're good. Yeah.
Perfect, perfect. But yeah, I mean, at
Awesome.
this point, we'll wrap it up. Thank you that was a great
Yeah, it was good.
conversation, bro.
Yeah.
I'm
It was
really
a
looking
pleasure.
forward to like cutting all this up, and I didn't.